Hi guys, it's Nikki, also known as Faces Trader, and you're watching the Awesome 10X December 14, 2020 Philippine Market Update. Let's begin. All right, so it's already a Tuesday, and here's what's happening in the market. As you can see, the market is down 53 points. Is today a Tuesday or is today a Wednesday? Just making sure what day is today. It's a Tuesday, December 15, 2020. Okay, so it's a Tuesday, December 15, 2020, and let's begin. All right, so you've got the market is down 53.7227, but what you'll notice is that the market is actually still very strong. So let's take a look at your top gainers for the day. You could see that APL is up 24%, your AR is up 20%. So you are seeing that these speculative names continue to go up, AR and APL, third liners, with a backdoor listing story for your APL, which is the mining venture. With AR, I'm not quite sure, but it has been rising these past couple of days. You are seeing a lot of not normal activity names being actively traded in the upside. So for example, you don't normally see 35 million pesos on OPM or OPMB, but you are seeing ticks like that, meaning there is money that is flowing on the most speculative names. You are seeing as well 5% up on your tech. Surtech went from 7.3 to 767. PLC right now, which is still undervalued, is now trading at 0.445. If you'll notice, the top gainers of the day are our stories with speculative flavor. Example, like your IMI 710 goes 767, speculation on those listings abroad, right? Well, it's not really a speculation. It is listed abroad, right? And so it's more on it's still speculation in the sense that how much will the semiconductors generate revenues next year, next year. And then, of course, your tech is about the successful 5G rollout, and they're doing the preferred share offering for that. Your PLC is a penny stock. Well, it's not really penny stock name, but nobody has been valuing PLC for quite a while now. And so it is a 45-cent name that some people are trying to buy so that it either becomes 50 cents, 60 cents, 1 peso, and so forth. So if you'll notice, most of your top traded on the upside today are actually very, very small cap and micro cap names, isn't it? Very small companies. Now, let's take a look at the worst losers. Worst losers, you are seeing that PHA is down 40 for the day from 1 peso to 99 cents, 105 to 99 cents, suggesting that people have already been taking profits given that PHA has rallied from 20 centavo to actually as high as 1 peso or times 5. Meaning, I think some people are already suggesting taking profits, which I think isn't bad, given that, hello, even at 40, 50 cents, if you've bought your PHA, you're still up here 100% at 1 peso, right? Now, you are seeing that people are profit-taking on some extensionary names. Your Mega Roll is down from 412 to 398. Your PHR is down a little from 323 to 314. Take note, though, that PHR has a 168 secondary offering, which actually means that these companies, even at 3% down, is still 100% up or close to 100% up for the people who got in at a very, very low secondary offering price. Notice too that a lot of your banks like Metro Bank, after hitting 50.51, is having a hard time. And notice too that your Pure Gold today, 210 million on the downside at 41 bucks. Is this an opportunity given that your Pure Gold has been languishing for the last 6 months at the 40 peso zone? So we will take a look on some things like that. Most active, let's take a look, most active names. So your Metro Bank got sold down below 50 bucks. Your Ayala Land is 41.30. Your BDO is trying to teeter at 114.5. However, even if it goes climb up to 120, the upside at 5% is just equal to the downside at about 10% or 5% similarly. Similarly, you can see your SM Prime trying its best, but it's actually just crawling at about 38. Even if it rises to 40, 41, you do see some temporary resistances at those levels. So as you could see, the market is heavily in the I'd say the market is already trading at frothy valuations. That's why you are seeing that a lot of people are profit taking, isn't it? So let's take a look at your index names. If you notice, even at 9.5 billion pesos, December 15, 2020, 10 days before Christmas, you are seeing that people are profit taking. More losers today, 128 decliners, 95 advancers, a lot of foreign selling. The selling actually comes from foreigners, but also locally. PSEI shares down, all shares down. Financials up a little. Industrials, holdings, properties down. But take note that the drop on these names are not like, it's not like disastrous drops, right? It's just people paying attention to the numbers that they've made some money and they want to take profits. Nothing wrong with that. So actually, let's take a look at companies that you are gonna ask me. I'm gonna check it out. But also, if you'll notice, even if I read this out loud, so I'm gonna read it out loud. All right. So BPI 83, BDO 114.5, SM Prime 38, Telephone 1360, Aboitiz Power 2735, Jollibee 207, Meralco 287, Bloomberry 870, AGI 10.6, FGen 28, Emperador 998, Globe 2030, Robinson's Land 2165, DMC $6, Robinson's Retail 66, Luciatan Group 13.8, San Miguel Corp 137.7, Ayala Corp 842, GD Cap 635, Pure Gold 41, Aboitiz Equity Ventures 47, Security Bank 145.8, MPI 429, Megaworld 398, Ayala Land 41.3, Metro Bank Metro Bank 49.8, GG Summit 6975, URC 154, ICT 121, SM 1050. Among these 30 names, I think that the buying area with a risk-reward ratio for the bulls is merely Pure Gold. Pure Gold at 41. I mean, I don't know about you, but it seems like the rest are just a hold. It could go up, it could go further, but it can also just stall at these levels. So, of course, if the risk reward is just 50-50, we would rather say just a hold. It doesn't mean that it's going to fall. It just means that buying it at these levels, it could go higher, it can go lower. It's like 50-50. Okay, top traded and analytics. Let's take a look first at your top traded. Yeah, so far, really, it's just been, as you could see, with the market already showing signs of resistances, it's normal to see that this profit taking for the last 9 months it's normal. Take note. Okay, let's take a look at that. Let's try to do a reflection stage today. Your 200% gainers, 12 months. Okay, take note. BC, NI, BCB, ASEN, AT, DITO, FAP, MRC, MEH, APL, MAB, AR, APX, TEC, SSP, BLFI, LCB, now Nicolasia, LIC, FNI, PX, BSC. The average gain of these numbers, these first 23 names are 60 to 200%. More importantly, if you take a look at these current gainers for the month, just for the month, PHA up 178, APL up 75%, AR up 150%. So you're noticing that the market has been cruising towards these new names, right? So yeah, yesterday I also discussed the DELM, which is Del Monte, which has been rising quite good actually for the month. As you can see, there's a 50% rise. And so we tried to discuss what's happening to Del Monte. You can actually check it out. Similarly, of course, we said that DMW had that value at about 6 pesos below. And so currently at about 40% up for the month. We do think that it can rally. Take note as well that Shell Philippines, we have posited that at about 18 that it's probably going to rise, similar to our PCOR and Shell Philippines, right? For those who are watching the channel just now, you can actually, all of the things that I'm saying can actually be backtracked. So it's like always there. December 1, laggards to lead, Shell Philippines above 20. Del Monte is Del Monte Pacific, a possible buy 1 day ago. So example, like Petron, did I tell about it before the rally? Yes. Petron and Shell Philippines plus leaders, ASEN, November 21. So you'll notice that watching Awesome 10X is always a few weeks or a few days ahead before the rallies, or at the very least, if it's not a few weeks ahead or a few days ahead, it is a very it's a very good sign that that we can actually detect what's happening. Example, let's say DD and DMW. We said that actually. We were saying that there was a time when people were not able to think about what opportunities remain in the market, and we were saying that there was like bargain hunting available. So 3 weeks ago, PHA-MRC. Actually, I called the Double Dragon and DMW Rice. Like, pretty sure I did. Because I mean, look, I make the summaries every day. Wait up, I'm gonna find that. Here, November 18, 2020, DD-DMW, right? So November 18, today is about December 15. Take note that so there, local, PHA, MRC, rising on restructure and backdoor listings, rotation towards Double Dragon, DMW. We evaluate the market's penchant for further breakout continuations. We also take note of bargain hunting picks like Double Dragon and DMW. So what I'm saying is that the market currently is really for quite a while now, after the leadership move of your asset and your nickel, we have been seeing that the market has rotated to what remains as potential alpha picks. In fact, even before this PLC rise about to this rise of about 45 cents, we were seeing that PLC and SSI are one of the few names that could probably continue rising whether the index rises or not. Now, how could we tell those things? Well, you have to evaluate the prices at the end of the day. If there's value in the name, there will continue to be value, then it can rise. However, if there's no value and it's just a cyclical reopening play, definitely after a 50% rise or a 25% rise, there will be no upside anymore. So it's noticeable that the market today, because they're not seeing enough upside on your index names, and it's kind of obvious already, right? So you can see that they are actually voyeuring. I would say they're voyeuring about unknowns like Abra mining, because these are like 99% down over the last how many years, and people are just speculating. So when you see that the market is so euphoric that they are speculating, you should actually be wondering how much upside there remains for people to actually be so speculative in actually buying up names that they probably didn't even look at financials anymore. So you have to understand that we are in this environment where it's actually normal to be taking profits rather than pushing buy buttons. So anyway, hi Globe and Tel, please. Globe and Tel are just normal, right? So 2030, 1350. I'd say that they're stable, so it won't go up, it won't go down. Probably steady, collect your 5% dividends, 6% dividends year on year. Mining, morning, Miss Awesome. Any thoughts on LFM? They gave a property dividend, which is LPC through LBI next year. So Liberty Flour Mill, what's happening with that? So as you could see, it's not in the top traded names. So sometimes, even if you've got news without people actually, like example, is there even news on Abra Mining? None. But people are pushing it up 1 cent to 3 cents. So these, you could see that these are people who are just gambling in a way. Anyway, LFM, let's take a look at that. Liberty Flour Mill. So here, the problem with it is, as you could see, there's no volume. So when you buy something like that without volume, you are actually, even if you've got news, I'm actually hesitant on what's going to happen on those names. I don't know what's going to happen on them. Hello, is SSI at 0.77 still okay price to buy? So you're talking about 1 peso 77 because it's not 77 cents, right? SSI, in my view, is still a company that is not as understood by many. So in my view, of course, this is a little bit biased on my part. I do think that these levels of 160 and 177 hasn't fully priced in the potential of this stock. So can it rise about 250 to 280 to 290? Even at $2, I think that there will be some people willing. And you'll need to wait perhaps a few months for validation. But yeah, I think that this one continues to be in an uptrend. And for those who got in at 130 below, and those who are getting in here at about 160 or 170, I don't think that you're late. You just need to wait it out. So any drops would actually be an opportunity to be buying the shares and waiting it out. Let's take a look at your questions further on. Okay pa rin ba ang PLC entry? Well, as I said, I think that the casinos as a sector in the Philippines may actually still present values, because the thing about the online sports betting and the movement of a lot of land-based casinos to proxy betting and online sports betting, it means that with or without COVID, As long as there is a player and they're allowed to make bets, they don't have to be there physically. And so these are the industries which actually can materially go up. Because if you look at it, whenever some people make a bet, it's just made online. And so, in my view, the valuation standards of the Philippine casinos as a sector, not talking about PLC per se, as a sector, the Philippine casino gaming sector is undervalued if you compare that to the US gaming sector, to the Macau gaming sector, which makes me say with conviction why it remains to be a value. So anyway, nice move on PLC. Okay pa yung entry. Di pa nag-ooperate yung casino and may pending online gambling license. So yeah, I really think that it's okay. It's a really a waiting game. Hello, Miss Nikki, you are awesome. Hi, thank you too. Hi, Nikki. Double Dragon, RCI, and Frutas. All right, so for Double Dragon, actually, let's try to read about the Double Dragon REITs. Let's see. So there are a lot of REIT plans, right? Let's try to read that. For RCI, wait up. RCI, I'm not really aware too much. I think like RCI was trying to sell their sugar plantation to, what's the latest news on RCI? The sugar plantation was gonna be sold to Aboitizes ba, or what was it? Anyway, I forgot, but I don't really study this name. 3 billion pesos, Rojas and Company, sugar mill. So most likely the person who's willing to buy RCI would be either the URCs or the Aboitizes of the world. I didn't study it. However, if there is really an M&A or an acquisition happening on that name, then chances are RCI is just it's an M&A play. So usually, like in the US, I do note that when there is a company that's really undervalued, they would buy it up. Eventually, they take it private, and if it's really a value, then you would see people buying it up. So looks like this one has people buying it up. As you can see, there's value. People are buying from 112 to 139. This might be interesting. Let's try to read more about this company, huh? What's happening here? The volume is there. There's some people picking it up. In the last 10 years, what has happened to this name? So in the last 10 years, this company did nothing, right? So from 2010 to 2020, your 1 peso is still 1 peso. Yes, there were a brief spikes to about 8, but it's really still back to 1 peso, which really means that it did nothing, or it is a pathetic loser. Okay, so let's take a look what this company did in the last 10 years. I know nothing, okay? Rojas and Company Inc. News. RCI sells 31, restructures 2.6 billion peso debt. So in the last 10 years, this company accumulated a debt of 3 billion pesos, which makes it a company that is either bankrupt or, well, I guess it's not earning money, right? I know nothing about it. What is it saying? Doesn't look good. Anyway, let me try. Frutas, I think, is just normal, right? So at 168, 173. I don't know if it's going to do. I mentioned that Frutas is a question mark to me. It can go higher, it can go lower. It is dependent on execution. Execution on the revenues, execution on the D2C, direct to consumer. You need to see Frutas doing a direct to consumer play such that if they really do well, let's say, their lechon sales, diba, they have Sabroso lechon. And holiday, actually, I've heard that a lot of my friends who are trying to order lechon, it's already full. So that is potentially a catalyst for your Frutas, right? The lechon sales. I'm not quite sure about those numbers, but in my view, if they are doing well on a holiday session, given that people are still ordering food online, then there is that capacity. 3.5 billion pesos, if they can show that, I've made, let's say, 1 billion pesos or 2 billion pesos in sales in the pandemic, etc., etc. So I want them to prove that they've made money. They've made revenues at the very least. So that is a question that I don't know, but I will wait it out. PHA and DSC, I have no idea. I think people are selling PHA. All HC still at 320 in my view. Tech, I already answered that. I think you can just search my TECH Awesome 10X. Like you could see here, I already did that. Tech, Awesome 10X. Tech, we already covered it. We said that they're preparing for their preferred shares and ambitions. So I think they have a resistance at 10, 11, forgot. But anyway, 6 to 7 looks like a low risk. Whether it goes to 10, 12, 14, let the market dictate. Costco, please. Well, I think there's a resistance at about 9. But at current level of Costco at 7, or sorry, 6 below pa rin. Costco at 6 below looks to be some people are just really trying to bottom fish here because they feel that it's a value play, which I will not disagree. However, as you could see, value can remain value forever if nobody really cares, right? Wholesome, please. So Wholesome fell down because San Miguel refused to buy them already. Some people might argue that it's cheap. Let's take a look at that. Actually, I haven't been checking these names. Wholesome is trading at what? 7 pesos? 7.50? So yun, you still got this resistance, still trying to bottoming out. So yeah, the problem with Holcim is the same problem of most construction-related firms. Cement is related to construction demand. So if your construction demand rises and spikes, then it rises. The problem of Holcim is that it only rose because of an M&A acquisition, not even about their sales. So take note that in my view, if the company has been dwindling for the last couple of years already, in the last, take a look, 5 to 10 years, it has been in the last 10 years, look at what Holcim did. From 17, it goes to 5. Then you have these resistances at about 9 and 10. So I guess in the short term, even if you just take a look at the charts of Holcim, you could see that there's a lot of sellers piling up at about 8 to 10. And you've got some buyers here at about 6 to 7. So on the upside, you've got almost 50-50 at 750. 1 to 2 pesos upside, 1 to 2 pesos on the downside. You're at a 50-50 zone for your Holcim. I mean, just from technicals, I don't really know much. All right. OLHC, I think it's just the OLHC, logistics. They were saying about the warehousing. But, the problem with this is that I'm not sure how huge they are doing in their leasing demand, because when we read about the OLHC share reports, diba? A couple of months ago already. Yeah, so we were saying that OLHC at about $2 was okay. Right now it's at 320. Small jump, still a lot of resistances here at about 360 to 380. Kulang yung, I think what the market is not aware of is just disclosures on how those warehouse, kasi the market likes people to discuss to them more information about how OLHC is really triggering increases in revenues. So you need to disclose and disclose and disclose. Without those disclosures, people won't really know how high it should go, right? Nag-all-in ako sa Cebu, sa Pacific, Naiko po. Well, we don't really try to teach people to do an all-in. Not because, kasi at the end of the day, all-ins, the reason why you don't do it is because bumagsak ng 10%, nervyos ka. Umangat ng 10%, feeling mo hari ka. At the end of the day, matulog ka ng mabuti, you don't need to all-in eh. Look, is current level of 50 a problem? No. In the last 10 years, these prices are actually 10-year lows. 35 and 50, right? So can this go to $80 or can it go to $70? I think the answer is yes. So what are you getting freaked out about? If it falls 45, tuwa ka pa nga eh. Tuwa ka pa nga na bumagsak yun eh. What else? Okay. Del Monte entry, already covered Del Monte last night. At about 6, 7, 8, seems like there's a lot of buying pressure. So try to see 8 below. Luciatan Group seems to be steady lang at 1350, 1380. I'm surprised about the level of cigarette smoking that is still happening in the world, especially in the Philippines, example. Because I think that the worldwide trend of people is already vaping. Parang I think like the Philippines is one of the few countries na sobrang lakas ng mga sigarilyo. So I'm not sure, pero siguro I'm not a smoker. I can't really tell. But around 50%, if my memory is correct, around 50% of Luciatan's group's contribution, or more than 50%, is on cigarette smoking. ATN, thank you, Miss Nikki. I know nothing about ATN. I know nothing. What's happening there ba? Ano ba nangyari dyan? Yun. So, hindi na natin nabasa yung mga RCI, no? Teka lang. Habang naglo-load to, Rojas and Company restructured 2.6 billion pesos of debt. O may utang siya. BPI, Robinsons, Asia United Bank. The creditors need additional general cash flows. They're engaged in real estate and sugar business. They've got a Batangas resort. They've got a coconut cream, Anya Resort in Tagaytay, 4 Go Hotels in Metro Manila. They want to sell the beachfront in Nasugpu, Batangas to Santa Lucia and a 12.9. So basically, guys, this company has a lot of debt. So, diba, gets mo? So in the last 10 years, this company does not have money. They need to sell shares, RCI, they owe money. So I don't know if it's gonna grow, but I would stay away from it. Malamang the debtors would want to get some money from it, but who's gonna get the money? BPI will get the money, not the shareholders. I don't know. Maybe I don't understand it. But what does this restructuring billions of debt mean? I guess they will cash out. I don't understand. Okay. Solid ang slide. Ano sa inyo doon, ma'am? Santa Lucia. Well, Santa Lucia has done a lot of preferred shares, right? They were trying to raise a lot of money in the last few years. And so they raised money on their, teka. Santa Lucia News. He did a preferred shares, diba? Powers of the East, 2019, developer. In general, I think Santa Lucia Land has already risen. They rose with a lot of preferred share offerings. So I think it's not a bargain. Kasi right now in the pandemic, what you're looking at should be bargains I think and I think like the market doesn't like to buy, depende, iba-iba siguro ng utak. I think most people like a 50% or a 90% discount rather than a company that is very strong. Because in my view, if you want growth, you don't go to the Philippines for growth. You go to the US for growth stocks. So I think the only thing that Philippines offers in the Philippines, it's just value. So there. ATN, mining license suspension, don't know. APL po, 7-year high, iron ore, don't know. SSI answered, PHR answered. So ACR, renewable energy, don't know. So as you could see, take note at your questions, no? Most of these companies are not the high quality companies anymore. I mean, I'm not saying that they're not high quality, but they're already in the 1 billion peso segment. They're already in the less actively traded segment. So when you see that the market is already going into the third liners, the fourth liners, the fifth liners, I guess the main conclusion is that maybe, guys, aminin nyo na, market has already probably peaked. And so when the people are already rotating, you have to actually be more careful. There. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Ano yung sabihin nito, Nikki?